Back when I be on the channel, yes ma'am, yes sir. So today we got Larry Bird versus Dennis Rodman. Okay, Larry, Dennis Rodman probably was running that mouth, running that chopper, and Larry Bird was like, "I'm about to school you, bro. I'm about to school you. Like, stop playing with me. Like, I'm not him." So I'm excited for this video. Let me know what you think. I just want to say thank you for clicking on this video. Hopefully you watch it all the way through. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and push the notification bell so notification when I post. That being said, let's get it.
To basketball, things can get pretty intense. So let's rewind time and talk about the time Larry Bird schooled Dennis Rodman in their Celtics-Piston game back in '87. It was pretty evident when Larry figured out how to tackle the worm in this game, because Rodman looked like he was genuinely struggling a lot. With LeBron James and Kevin Durant becoming two of the best offensively talented small forwards in NBA history, it's easy to forget about Larry Bird. This definitely shouldn't be the case, since Bird would absolutely beat up any opposing defenders.
Just thinking about this, Bird versus Durant, ooh-wee. That would have been a battle to see, low key. That would have been a battle to see. I just think Bird would have had him more like physical wise. Like Durant's not that physical, but that jumper, you know what I'm saying? Sheesh.
No matter what time he played, his game was all about the smallest details and most complicated parts of being on offense. Everything about his game that day was so cool.
Ray Williams down low for Bird.
Cool.
And takes it and drills it again. He's unbelievable.
From a slight jab to a cross, from a fake pull-up to a real mid-range shot, Larry Bird not only took shots the most NBA players could only dream of taking, but he also made them with a ton of accuracy, which, if you don't know already, is a pretty big thing in basketball. To put things into perspective, Larry had two 50, 40, 90 seasons in a row from 1986 to 1988, with an average of 29.9 points per game in 1988. But his game against the Pistons has got to be one of the most iconic, and that's also primarily because Dennis Rodman was struggling to catch up. No doubt Rodman is one of the best players to ever defend the ball on the court, and his time with the Pistons is the best example of this. I mean, that is, of course, if you don't look at the game he had against Larry Bird, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I think still today, Dennis Rodman is one of the best defenders to ever play the game. Or y'all think it's changed? Who y'all think is one of the best defenders? Like, like you had to have a solid defender on your team to hold down the paint. Who you got? Who you picking?
Bad at the end of the day, honestly, because at the beginning, Rodman did a good job of guarding Bird. He went after him face on and got a few deflections. This is when Larry Bird stepped it up because he figured out how to deal with Dennis in just a few possessions. Bird started taking him off the ball more, and when he pulled up right through Rodman's chest, making it hard for Rodman to compete. Bird was very good at breaking down his opponents, and his game against Rodman was no exception. But what makes Larry's play even more cool is the fact that he was going up against a pretty good player, and he crushed him. During the 1990s, at one point, Rodman was the second most popular NBA player in the world.
Dang.
I think it's a coincidence that Longley and Rodman come in off the bench, and immediately you see an offensive rebound.
Look at him. Go.
And a label like that obviously comes with some substance attached to it. So there's gotta be something there, right? Rodman was also a threat on defense because he had the skill and pure willpower to compete for every play. This made life very hard for the players who would compete with him. Rodman took a while to get used to playing against the best players in the NBA though, especially Larry Bird, and he had to learn some things the hard way. Back in the day, the Pistons and the Celtics were bitter rivals. They played each other a lot during the regular season and the playoffs, and Rodman got to see for himself how good Bird was when he was at his best.
To go in the game, Bird.
So in this case, it's kind of understandable also why Dennis has some beef with Larry, and he even admitted to something surprising when it came to this rivalry. In an interview, he said, "Man, I was just so green behind the ears." Apparently, he wasn't really aware of how bad the rivalry between the two teams was. He just wanted to go out there and play. But then he saw the way the other players before him reacted to the rival team, and that did intrigue him a bit. But the point where he got to experience the friction friction firsthand was when he played in the first game between the two teams in 1986-87. He said he tried his best to go after Larry Bird, but it didn't work out too well. And actually, Rodman ended up learning a thing or two from Larry. Here's the weird competitive part. Throughout the game, Larry would go up to Dennis and ask him, "Are you guarding me?" I mean, come on. That's just some petty behavior.
Low key, I probably would have done the same thing. Like, are you serious? You're gonna put him on me? Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, he got a little defense towards, somebody else, but towards me? Like, I'm Larry Bird. Like, come on now, stop playing.
Bird really stuck the knife in, though, and at one point he went up to the Pistons head coach and asked him to send in someone who could defend him better. Yeesh. If you think this was the end of the friction between these two players, you're wrong, because after this game, there was an incident where Rodman was told to apologize to Larry Bird for making racist comments.
Huh?
The Rodman-Pippen apology was shown on ESPN's The Last Dance. After Bird and the Celtics beat the Pistons in Game 7 of the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, Rodman was asked in the locker room what he thought of Bird's play. According to a report from the New York Times back then, Rodman said Bird was very overrated and had won 3 straight MVP awards only because he was
Building your online business?
Only because he was what?
Go to Wix.com and
was white. Okay, whoa. Those are some pretty big words. But honestly,
He tried to say that like dude was averaging 6 points a game with 8 rebounds. Like, come on, Robin, you can't say that when you know his work was showing up every day.
no professional, but even I know asking a player about their opinion on another player in an actual locker room while he's clearly heated up is a pretty bad idea. When Isaiah Thomas heard about what Rodman had said, he said that he had to agree with him. Thomas said that he considered Larry to be super talented, but there was some truth in what Dennis was pointing out as well, and that at the end of the day, if Larry were black, he'd be just another good player. Thomas later said that he was joking, that he knew Bird well, and that he had a lot of respect for him. But the backlash Dennis got for saying these things about Larry grew over time. So, soon after this locker room talk came out, Rodman apologized for having said those things about Larry. During all of this, you're probably dying to know what was Larry's reaction, right? Well, Bird said he understood where Rodman was coming from. He talked about how he also has been there after tough losses. In the heat of battle, you never know what is said off the record, and so whatever Dennis said was understandable. In good news, though, Larry said he had never been a dude to get bothered by things like that. Everyone is going to have an opinion and say what they want to say.
If only everybody could have that same mindset, or how people will be let stuff go. Cause like, bro, you can't, like, literally everybody had their own opinion. You can't control what their opinion. You know what I'm saying? You can't let that really affect your move for what?
So Larry thought it's best to just go about your business. So it seemed like the entire situation wasn't exactly as bad as everyone thought it would get.
He's chill. He don't care what people gotta say. Because he knows his game
anger had
backed
died down
everything
and
up.
tempers had cooled at least. But I'm also pretty sure these two players aren't besties with each other either. At least whatever rivalry they had didn't escalate at this point, so there's that. And it wouldn't escalate in the future either. Because sadly, this was the last time both of these players played against each other during Bird's reign. The Celtics and Pistons played each other again in the 1988 Eastern Conference Finals. But the series wasn't as intense or physical as their first matchup for the league. This wasn't necessarily bad news because it seemed like they really wanted to avoid the violence that happened between the two former champions. You should know, though, that throughout his career, Bird also had problems with other players. I mean, Dr. J versus Larry Bird is probably one of the most famous fights in NBA history.
And look at Jay hitting Bird as he's being held from behind by...
I gotta see that game. Somebody gotta send me the link down below to like that moment, cause I gotta see that. Cause look how they got dude wrapped up. That's crazy.
Barkley and Moses Malone.
I know Larry was
After this
fired
fight,
up.
neither player was suspended. Oh, how times have changed. Aggressive plays and talking shouldn't really be labeled as bad, though, because this was just how players like Bird and Dennis Rodman learned to win.
Oh man, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what y'all think of this video. Let me know any videos you like to see me do. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and push the notification bell. That being said, see you guys next video.